dialed is not in service at this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Good afternoon, South Africans. How are all of you doing out there? I hope you're all keeping well. And yeah, I'm sure you're all at work and keeping busy and out of trouble. During these tough times, you got to just hold on tight and do what you got to do to get by, hey? That's the way to go. Anyway, this is the Wayne G Show. This is Real Talk Radio, where the talk is always real. Oh yes. Yes, guys, today I want to talk a little bit about our education system. You know, like many parents out there, anybody who's watching this that have kids that are at school and yeah, had to homeschool them during lockdown. You know what I'm saying, hey? I'm sure you went through exactly what we went through as parents, and trying to re-educate ourselves on how to educate our own children. And it was pretty difficult at times, eh? Because, you know, most of us were at school 30 years ago, you know, 35 years ago. And, you know, especially with the younger kids, and geez, the maths was not easy, hey? But, you know, another thing that I was exposed to during that time, which I'm sure that a lot of you were exposed to too, was, you know, a lot of meaningless stuff. And I think, you know, in hindsight, if you think back on your own school career and what you learned in school and what you got to apply in your life, it wasn't very much, was it? You know, most of the stuff that we learned in school and, you know, that we had to do was forgotten very quickly. Like, you know, you studied for an exam, and then you did your exam, and at the end of that exam, 2 weeks later, you've forgotten half the stuff you learned. You know, it was almost like a system of testing you to see how much knowledge you can retain for a certain amount of time. In other words, what kind of a parrot are you? And yes, we did maths and science and analytical stuff and you know, stuff like that, but algebra, geometry, I don't know where you connect that to what we do today, you know, unless you became an engineer or a scientist or a rocket scientist, or, you know, went into medicine or something like that. But most of us didn't, eh? That's such a small amount of people at school being so educated in a field that you'll probably never ever use, hey? And the stuff that we do need and the stuff that we do need to know, we weren't taught. And we had to learn that stuff the hard way, hey guys. Geez, like bills and problem solving, and especially problem solving, hey. Problem solving is a massive part of our lives. You think about it, every single day you dealt with problems and stress and things you've got to work out and sort out, and how much of that was taught to you in school, hey? Not very much. You know, you learned subjects like history and geography and science, and now they call it NS, natural science, and you know, how much of it was necessary and how much of it was not necessary? I don't know, hey. You guys can draw your own conclusions and assumptions around that. But yeah, you know, I just noticed it when I was exposed to the syllabus. You know, especially subjects like what we did at school called guidance. I think it's called life orientation now. You know, the stuff that these poor kids are having to learn in LO is unbelievable. You know, you're learning about genders and all the different kinds of genders, like the 42 different gender kinds, and you know, very, very interesting stuff that's not very based in reality. You know what I mean? It's like, come on. There are only two genders, guys. You know what I mean? Scientifically, anyway. You know, people can believe and assume whatever they want about who they are or what they are, but yeah, as far as science is concerned, we've got a stalemate there. X or XY, and then a couple of anomalies that are in your 0.0001% part of the population. But yeah, very interesting stuff, guys. But as I was saying, you know, how much of it that we learned and spent how many years at school, 12 years at school, did we actually get to apply when we left school? And that's rather troubling. And you know, the world seems to have a lot of problems at the moment, and we're unable to solve those problems. And perhaps that's because of how we were educated, hey, and what we learned in school. And it's a massive part of our lives, guys. School occupied a huge part of our lives. And you know, even now as parents, you know, it was I just, you drop your kids off at school in the morning and you pick them up in the afternoons, but what are they actually being taught during those times? It's quite a long period of time that your kids are sitting in class, and are they learning about life skills? Are they being educated on coping mechanisms and how to survive, and learning about tax? Geez, if only they taught us about tax at school, what it actually is. And I guess if they did teach you about tax from a young age, you'd actually realize how screwed over you're getting, and that's not in the government's best interest, hey? And guess who sets most of the syllabus? Yes, the government. So yeah, now we're getting into the conspiracy side of this talk. Hey, we're learning about what the government wants us to learn, and perhaps they don't want us to actually know too much. Hey, a lot of it we've got to learn on our own, and we learn it the hard way, and some of us never learn. Hey, so yeah, guys, I really believe, and I think that schools should start engineering their syllabuses a little bit more towards analytical problem solving and learning about day-to-day life. What do you experience in a day-to-day life? And none of it is that exam setting. Life's not an exam setting. It's not this thing you prepare 3 or 4 weeks for, and then you go for 2 hours and you've literally vomit out all you've learned, and then you carry on with your life. Hey, that's not life. That's not how life works. It's not how life works at all. Life is upfront. Yes, you get a bit of chance to plan your day, but you don't know how your day is going to develop. And I think often when things don't go your way, or something comes up that you don't understand, or you get a curveball and the world falls apart, because from a young age you haven't been taught those coping mechanisms. And perhaps if we get taught those coping mechanisms, we'll be better equipped in later life to actually deal with them, because a lot of stuff we just can't deal with, hey? And there's no better time than to learn when you're young, hey? The younger you are, when you start learning about something, the better equipped you are. So that's what I think, guys. Yeah, and that was just my own thoughts and my own experiences. And if it wasn't for COVID and for lockdown and having to homeschool my kids, I would have never even been exposed to it again and not even thought about it. But getting exposed to the work that they do, you start to wonder how much of this is really necessary and how much does it equip them for the future. Anyway, guys, give me your thoughts. Tell me what you think about it. Hey, especially as parents, hey, what did you think of the work that your kids are having to learn and absorb during lockdown? I'd love to hear all about it. That's a Real Talk for today, guys. This is the Wayne G Show, and this is Real Talk Radio. Peace and love.